Yes, good evening, Amy. Well, Wakefield's the last place in West Yorkshire to actually have tighter restrictions imposed on it. From today, they're now in Tier 2, along with Bradford and Leeds and Calderdale and Kirklees. So the whole of West Yorkshire now is in Tier 2, along with South Yorkshire as well. Now, people have kind of been finding out the news today. They perhaps didn't realise that the new rules were coming into place. And there has, well, I think it's fair to say, been a little bit of confusion out and about on the streets of Wakefield. Opening up to new restrictions, Wakefield Bagel Bar owner Adrian understands the new rules, but is unsure what impact they could have on his business.
People are being advised not to eat and drink indoors with people outside of their family or their bubble. That's half our business, that's half our trade. People meet up with each other in this and many other cafes around the centre. And so with being deterred and yet not getting any real compensation for that, it's going to be a struggle.
Wakefield has joined the rest of West and South Yorkshire, moving into Tier 2, limiting the mixing of households. But do people here understand what they can and can't do?
It is confusing. I think it's been confusing from day one, really, hasn't it? Let's be right.
We work at Masonic Hall, because you can't more than 6 together, and from different households can't more than, they can't meet at all. It means we can't open.
We're still shooting at 10 o'clock, aren't we? Yeah. That's about it, I think. Yeah. So I might be confused, actually.
Oh, are you confused?
Could be. I didn't think I was until I spoke to you. Now I think I am.
The city centre certainly seemed quieter than normal today, and for businesses relying on passing trade, that's got to be a worry.
I'm just a little bit worried that it's going to hit small businesses around here. It's not just us, there's other businesses on the street. And I think people just need to remember to shop local because, it's, I think we're going to be the worst hit. But it's the hospitality sector that has cause for concern again. Open for business now, but dreading a future move into Tier 3 that would force them to close. So I wonder if you're confused. Let's just remind ourselves of some of the rules and what the different tiers mean. Well, if you're watching us in North Yorkshire tonight and parts of North Derbyshire, then we are in Tier 1 in those parts of the region. They have the lowest restrictions in place there. Households can meet in any settings with the rule of 6. Tier 2, like here in West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire and Bassetlaw in North Nottinghamshire, mixing indoors anywhere with different households is not allowed, apart from perhaps a support bubble. The rule of 6 applies outdoors, including in private gardens. And the most severe tier is Tier 3, very high risk category. This thankfully does not yet apply to anywhere in the Look North region, but would mean that pubs and restaurants would have to close if that was brought into force. So let me get rid of those rules and let me grab this microphone and let's talk to Craig Sizik. Just let me manoeuvre around here, who is the operations manager at Robotree in Wakefield. You're worried, aren't you? Because if we go into Tier 3, that would be pretty disastrous.
Definitely, yeah. It's not great for the business. It's already struggling as it is, but there are pros and cons.
You say you're struggling. I mean, just how bad are things?
Well, I've noticed in all 3 restaurants, Kibana here and at Fino, they've dropped in 56% in bookings already this week.
So at the moment, tonight, you're a lot quieter than you normally would be?
Very much so. I mean, 70, 80% down.
And have you seen things, perhaps people cancelling their bookings because of the new restrictions coming in place?
Definitely. I mean, from sort of midnight last night, I could see the cancellations coming through or amending bookings from 6s to tables of 2.
And what about this thing about being in Tier 2, the fact that some businesses are actually saying we'd be better off being in Tier 3 or Tier 1 because there'd be more support for us?
Definitely. I mean, Tier 1s, as we were before, we were successful up until yesterday. Tier 3 offers a more financial support for us, but Tier 2 sort of in limbo.
Do you think that people in Wakefield are across the rules? There was a lot of confusion when we were out and about today. What do you think?
Yeah, a lot of people do strangely miss the rules, and we have to remind people about masks, social distancing, staying seated at tables, so it is.
And households can't mix, can they, Craig? So they're coming here. You've got to ask them whether or not they're all from the same household.
We are, and it's difficult because we can't police it. If they say yeah, our hands are sort of tied. We're not supposed to do checks on it and things like that. So we have to sort of take their word for it.
Now, earlier today, I bumped into Matt, who you're by trade an entertainer and magician. That's right, isn't it? But yeah, you're having to do something different to make money.
Yeah, I'm a magician and variety entertainer, so my job's kind of completely chopped off, to be honest. So during the main lockdown, I was in a lot of online shows, Zoom sort of online magic shows and things. which went really well. When things opened back up, I was back doing 1 or 2 sort of garden parties, but it's nowhere near the sort of level of gigs. I'm usually doing about 50 weddings a year. This year I think I've done 3.
And we know, I mean, a lot of well-known entertainers, you know, who get a lot of really big money gigs or whatever, they're struggling too.
Yeah, definitely. It's right across the board. There's been quite big names as well that have struggled quite a lot through lockdown and things. But a lot of us have taken our stuff online, but then the uncertainty's led to one thing or another. So I'm fortunate enough that I know the guys here at Fino and
you know the rules.
Things.
Yes,
know the rules. Yeah, that's a tough one for us lot as well, because particularly the restaurants and things, because now people can't come for lunch dinners and things like that as well in the restaurants, whereas normally you come with someone from the office, you can't anymore. So.
All right, Matt. Well, thank you very much indeed. As a magician, we would like you, please, to magic this coronavirus away. Get rid of it for us, please, if you could. If only it was as simple as that, eh, Amy?
Yeah, absolutely, Ian. We could do with a little bit of